Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney, and an exciting weekend here at Gulfstream Park, and of course in Kentucky with the Gulfstream, with the Kentucky Oaks today. I'm always thinking of the Gulfstream Park Oaks. The Kentucky Oaks today, and tomorrow the Kentucky Derby.
Well, we do have the Gulfstream Park Oaks winner, Coach Rock's running in the Kentucky Oaks this afternoon, so you can clearly see where Ron's mind is.
Exactly.
And of course, as Ron mentioned, the Kentucky Derby coming up tomorrow. They did draw the post positions earlier this week, and we have several horses in the Kentucky Derby that did start their careers here at Gulfstream. And just a reminder, Silks opened early this morning. You can have advanced wagering on the entire Kentucky Derby card today, so get your bets in early.
And they also have the Oaks Derby double that you can bet here this afternoon or any places, and that's a fun bet. You bet the Kentucky Oaks today, and you see if you can match it up with the Kentucky Derby tomorrow, and you see our Florida Derby winner right there at the number 5 post audible at 8-1 on the board. So, and there's my pick, Hofberg, number 9. I let it out.
There you go. Ron going for a bit of a long shot. I am actually taking Audible on top. I hope we get anything close to that 8-1 price. We're both going against the morning line favorite in Justify, and as well as the UAE Derby winner Mendelssohn, the number 14 horse, as you see the second half of the field, who is shipping in for trainer Aidan O'Brien.
And that's the Kentucky Derby, but we got lots of excitement going on right here today because we got what time's the Silks open tomorrow? 9 a.m.
9 a.m. tomorrow. First post at Churchill Downs is 10:30 in the morning. First post here at Gulfstream, 12:35 p.m., a little bit earlier than usual. And we will wrap up before the Kentucky Derby, so you can watch and wager on everything here. It's also Cinco de Mayo, so I think there's some sort of margarita special going on tomorrow.
$5 margaritas. I checked that out.
Oh, see, you know.
I know about
that.
the $5 margaritas. I don't know much else, but I know about the $5 margaritas.
He knows the important things.
And what's great, if you've ever been here at Gulfstream Park to watch the Kentucky Derby or the Florida Derby, it's on all the screens, so it's a lot of fun. You can root and cheer. And as I mentioned, I was a little ahead of myself because we have an exciting day today because we got not one, not two, but 3 carryovers this afternoon.
Yes, we do. And we do start things off with the 50-cent early pick 5. That's always a mandatory payout, so no carryover there. And as we continue along, in race number 5 is where we do see our first carryover. That's in today's Super High 5, the $1 rolling Super High 5, any race with 7 or more runners.
Yeah, that builds up really nice. That's a $1 wager. And, of course, the Rainbow 6, boy, is that getting exciting. $827,000 plus. Got a couple of horses alive going into the last race. It was pretty exciting. 2, 3, and 7 were alive. 3 was up there, finished second, so someone was real close to winning it. And as I mentioned, 3 carryovers today.
3 carryovers. There's also a carryover in the late pick 5, which we don't see very frequently, but there was it was paying 4 or 5 yesterday afternoon, so $31,000 plus for the late pick 5. So really good wager to get in on there.
Yeah, they send it in because you get that only 50-cent wager. It's a great bet. Last time I was guessing was 150, was going to be in the pool and was well over $300,000. So a great wager. That's a little later on this afternoon. But we're going to start with the first of the 2 pick 5s, and Acacia's going to show you her ticket.
That's right. We have to pad the bankroll, obviously, with all of those carryovers coming up a little bit later on. I went $24, and 1 to 2 right now, and rightfully so at a very short price, is Pay Any Price in race number 1. All eyes going to be on him with a couple of not up to par of what we've become used to seeing from Pay Any Price those last 2 performances. So we'll see what we get from him today, perhaps in a little bit of an easier spot. I'm not singling him, though. I do like Diddley a little bit for trainer Oscar Gonzalez. And in race number 2, using 2 horses as well. Pretty key scratch, I think, as far as the pace. One of the Ruben Garcia runners of Our Little Secret. So you're left with Super Witch, also using Dawn Lightning. In the 3rd, I'm going with 2 horses in there and using 3 horses in the 4th, though I think think probably the main horse in there is Nakati, who is dropping from special weight to the maiden claiming tag for the first time. So that just might be the right spot. Might be as easy as that. And then I'm expecting a pretty quick pace in race number 5. Probably Sound Defense is the one to beat after a very good win last time out. I backed myself up with Cordelli.
Now, getting back to the first race today, boy, the track record holder is in this race for 5 furlongs on the turf, and that was the horse you were alluding to for Pay Any Price. This one is dropping into the 16 optional claimer. Fits this condition, so is allowed to run here, looking to rebound from that second place finish as the favorite. That was in the $75,000 Silks run, the 9-time winner at the distance. If he's right, the dance is over very early.
And it certainly could be, and it'll be interesting looking at this race, too. You have the third place finisher, Bucaro, who's running at Churchill Downs today in the turf sprint, and I believe is a buzz horse over there as well. And Pay Any Price, I remember when he had that big layoff, he came back. He really had to work very hard in the Canterbury. He had to work hard in the Turf Dash at Tampa as well. A very disappointing performance from him in the turf sprint on the Pegasus World Cup Day undercard back in January. I thought he bounced back with a good performance last time. Just need to see him get back into that top form. Obviously, he's got a world of talent, and the connections have done a great job with him since claiming him for $25,000.
And what you tell me every day, I do not know Diddley, but you use Diddley on your ticket, and that is the number 5.
He's making that up. I don't really say that to him. I think that this gelding fits the condition, and more than anything, I think that Pay Any Price is faster than the other potential speed horses in here, but if there is some pace under Miguel Vasquez, a really strong finishing rider, I think that Diddley's going to be a much better price. You're going to be able to close, and maybe he's going to be able to run and pick up the pieces and get the jump on a horse like Pay Any Price.
Well, you know the old adage of the longer price of the uncoupled entry. So number 7, our Cat Daddy, another from trainer Ralph Zadie. Of course, he trains Pay Any Price, who this one is cutting back to 5 furlongs after a couple of stamina tweaking performances at 7.5 furlongs. Maybe this is the sneaky in the race, but certainly the race goes through number 4, Pay Any Price. And I can understand putting Diddley on the ticket. I don't know if I would have singled Pay Any Price either, just for all the reasons that you mentioned. We're going to go to the second race this afternoon, and this one's 5 furlongs on the turf. It's 2 claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life, or 3-year-olds. They run for $25,000 or $20,000. We do have a couple of scratches, as you alluded to before. The number 4 and that number 6 are Little Secret, and certainly made it look better for me for the 5 Dawn Lightning. But you have the number 7 on top, a horse I did not use.
Well, I'm trying to get, again, a little bit of a price for the 7 Super Witch. I like that she's now second off the claim for Ruben Gracida. Like to see these horses maybe get a little chance to get acclimated in the barn. I think she's pretty tactical. She did have a mishap 2 starts back. You can put a big line through that race. And last time out was not her best effort. But again, it was her first time with this barn. She was running against some good competition. Dawn Lightning did beat her in there, but I'm expecting an improved effort from her today.
Hemisi El Jaramillo in the saddle. I was looking back. I was wondering why I missed it. Not good. But I did go with the horse you mentioned that you have in second, Dawn Lightning. He's making the usual fruitful third start back from a layoff after posting back-to-back second-place finishes at this level and distance. Ed Pleaser is the trainer. I want to show you a quick stat on him. I just thought it would be interesting to show this third start back from a layoff in turf sprints. You see his record up there. It's just 2 for 14, 17%, but 51% in the money. So I just wanted to lay that out there because third off the bench, not a lot of people know exactly how the horse will fare in that spot. I thought it was the logical one. Now, the other horse I used in the race was the 2 Oscura. He was turning back to this abbreviated distance after showing speed and weakening late in a series of 1-mile turf outings against this same caliber competition. So, as I always call it, it's your old turn back move.
Yes, he's straight and to the point. Well, I agree with you. I actually really liked this horse turning back in distance because I thought that she might settle a little bit more. Now, with the scratch of Our Little Secret, I think that she has the potential to be the controlling pace in here and use that speed to her advantage.
And we both used the number 3 Barbados Kitten on a ticket now in the Jennifer Quiones barn. The 5-year-old daughter of Kitten's Joy stepping up and counted some trouble last time out at the 3/8 pole in in that race and did finish second against 16, 2 lifetime claimers, but you get Nick Warren's horse you might want to add back. Did you add that one on your ticket?
I didn't use that one on my ticket. I did just use the 7 and the 5, but this is a tricky race. I don't think that there's a clear, logical horse to beat in there.
Well, let's go to race number 3, and this one's on the main track at 5.5 furlongs, and these are maiden claimers 3 and up. $10,000 in the race, and we got a clean slate with no scratches in here. I did go with the 1 Travie Boy, and you did, so I'll defer to you. Tell me why.
Well, this one has speed first and foremost, and running at this level when dropping down to the 10,000 last time out, I thought that he ran very well, given the fact that he had that far outside post. So I think his hand was really forced to send early on. This time he's got the inside post, and going from post 13, going 6.5 furlongs, I mean, that's just a nightmare. So inside post now with 5.5, but I think he can control the pace in here. Sound of the Tap has some speed too, but is not always a pace setter. So I think that this is one that's coming off a good last out race.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite angles, going from that far outside post, tough to win with, going on to the inside. Travie Boy turning back to 5.5 furlongs. That's a definite plus for this horse. David Forks, Edgard's Eyes. But Sound of the Tap, the number 5. I know you wanted to go back and show this horse's last performance.
I did. Well, we're going to go back to the 19th, and this horse was the number 3 that day. And here he is at the quarter pole in the white cap, and he's between horses. And this race was one that was really affected early on because there was actually a riderless horse that was setting the pace up front and kind of causing a little bit of commotion after he dumped the rider at the start. Now, Sound of the Tap does have some speed. He came from off the pace this time. And while the number 8, Chase Your Dreams, they were dueling outside, the number 4, ABG Guerrero, closing even further outside. I thought along the inside, Sound of the Tap was very game, and he was only beaten by half a length that day.
Yeah, it was a pretty good performance. Thus, I put it on my exacta ticket, Travie Boy, for the reasons you mentioned it. And the third horse I used was the number 4, ABG Guerrero. He's turning back slightly, chased the pace, and finished 4th against this level of competition. But it was just 6 days ago, I believe.
It was 6 days ago in that race that we just watched. That was him, the number 4, that was coming far on the outside. He's had another race in between, so he does run pretty frequently.
Well, let's go to race number 4 this afternoon. 7 furlongs on the fast main track. Maiden claiming fillies. 3-year-olds, $50,000 down to $40,000. And a pretty interesting race in here. And I did go with the number 2, Dance with Macho, on top of my ticket. Second, sprinting on the dirt at this level in its debut, is returning to the main track after failing to show much when trying maiden special weight competition. That was going that mile on the turf. And I just thought with the turf to dirt move, showed promise when it was sprinting on the dirt. So I went with that horse on top of my ticket.
Yeah, the dirt race in the debut at this level of competition was far superior, certainly, and that was going the 6 furlongs. So now he's got a 2-turn race under his belt, or she does, excuse me, going back to the 7/8 on the main track. So I think that she's logical as well. I did just kind of prefer others. I think that this is a wide open race that potentially you could spread in. The number 5, Nakati, I mentioned this horse earlier. I just like the drop in class. Her races back at the March 29th and February 23rd, going 6 furlongs and a mile respectively, I thought were good enough, and they were against special weight companies. So she's dropping in class now for trainer Michael Yates.
Well, all things being equal in this race, I thought that was the horse to beat, as you mentioned before, Nakati. Now, the other horse that I used, and you used in third too, was the 6, Violent Wave, stepping up to the $50,000 level today after rallying to finish second. That was in her $25,000 debut. I don't know if they surprised it and then said, well, let's jump her up in here. And it's a daughter of Violence, who I know you like, the progeny of Diamonds.
Violence progeny have been very precocious, and I've been impressed with what I have seen, and I thought that was a good debut race for her. Again, technically stepping up a little bit in class, but I do think that that was a good enough race, and it's a smaller field today, so I think that she fits.
Yeah, we're sort of in agreement. Just going to box them around different ways in race number 4. Let's go to the 5th race, and this is a 6 furlong turf starter allowance for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, and they started for 16 or less, so they can be bought for the optional claiming price of $25,000. Again, 5 furlongs on the turf, and both you and I thought Sound Defense was the speed, as you mentioned earlier.
And there is a little bit of other speed in here. You've got Awesome and then some, and even Danessa again to the rail. But again, I just don't think that they're as fast as Sound Defense. This is a horse that just ran away from the rest of the field last time out and couldn't be caught. 2 next out winners from that race as well.
Yeah, and one of those winners, Parole, I think is how you say it, won an allowance race at Keeneland in the next start. So that sort of flattered number 6, Sound Defense. And let's flatter this horse a little more, or at least the trainer, Ralph Zadie. I'm going to show you a stat layoff of 61 to 180 days. days. Turf sprints right here at Gulfstream Park. He's 8 for 23. That's 35%, 52% in the money, and almost a $2 return of investment. So he does a good job with horses doing that layoff of the 61 to 180 days. So lots to like about that. And we both used, I believe, the number 3, Cordelli in second.
Yes, we did. And this one, first off the claim last time for Tammy Levy, ran very well against stepping up in competition. And we're going to backtrack to that race on April 6th. She was the number 2 that day, and she was up close to the pace. As we pick it up from the quarter pole, she's in the drawing away colors of the blue and orange. The number 1 horse in the white blinkers is Ayla, who is setting the pace that day. So Cordelli was up close. And keep your eye on the number 6 in the black and green of Midwest Thoroughbreds. That's Unbridled Courage, who comes up the rail with a very impressive move to actually win the race. But I thought that this was a good race from Cordelli, who was stepping up in competition, and she still finished up well.
Yeah, she did a good job. She finished third, and you mentioned from Tammy Levy, beating only that 3/4 of a length at this 5 furlong distance. So if Sound Defense doesn't do the job, certainly went on there. And then I used the number 2, Take a Stroll, a winner of 3 of 4 recent 5 furlong turf sprints, which includes that $35,000 maiden victory at the championship meet. Steps up again after drawing clear, beat those condition claimers by almost 3 lengths. This horse has been in great form.
She really has been in razor sharp form. I think that she's got to step up a little bit to face the likes of the 2 horses that we were just talking about, but no knocks on her recent races and what good form she's been in.
Anything else before we take a break?
Well, just to wrap up this race, I used the number 1, Danessa, again, because I thought that she actually finished up well in that same race that we were just talking about behind Cordelli.
Well, we'll take that break. When we come back, we'll have the Rainbow 6, and we'll have the late pick 5. Things are getting real exciting.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Judy the Beauty.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today, ladies and gentlemen. And as I mentioned, the Rainbow 6, over $827,000 in that pool. And what great way to start it with a 2-year-old race, 4.5 furlongs, maiden claiming 2-year-olds, $50,000. A couple of these horses have started, and I'm going to show you my ticket right now, and it's going to be $32.40 because I'm singling a horse in race number 10 this afternoon. And I just thought I needed to find a single. I wanted to make it cheaper, and that number, as soon as I get to the page, is Mo Beautiful, a daughter of Uncle Mo. I think is going to run very well in there. Comes out of, guess what? A key race. That's why I used it. So $32.40 for me. And I went 3 deep in here. I wish I could have gone just a little deeper, but 3 deep seemed to be okay for me.
Well, things are back to normal because I went 4 deep in the race that you singled, and I did single somewhere else.
That's what normally happens.
We're back to normal, which is good because yesterday we just had a lot of weight on the same few horses. So
best bet and long shot.
Yeah. So yeah, we can't do that anymore.
So how'd you start it in here?
Well, I agree with you. This is a really fun way to kick off today's Rainbow 6 because you can keep an eye on how the board is playing. You can take a look at how the horses are acting in the paddock before you do put your bet in. And I took a stab with a colt that has a really good work tab for trainer Ron Spatz, and I know you have a stat coming up in a little bit, but the works really intrigued me. The barn has been going very well lately, has Miguel Vasquez in the saddle, and not so much pedigree to go with on the bottom side, but I think debuting for the $50,000 tag, 1.5 furlongs. Do you note that? So I think that he's going to be in the right spot.
Well, let's show you the stat. This is an overall stat for Ron Spats. 2-year-old's maiden claim is right here at Gulfstream. It's a limited sampling, but it's good. He's 4 for 11, 36%. He's in the money 36% of the time, and a really positive return of investment of $4.90. And that's what maiden claimers here at Gulfstream Park. So he always does a good job. So I can understand you putting this horse on top of the ticket.
And I like that even more. And I think that stat is telling, too, because it's kind of an all or nothing thing. They'll win or maybe they might need a race. But given the work tab, it looks like he's going to come in sharp.
I did go with the number 3, Benji, on top of my ticket, who's dropping to this $50,000 level, getting both Lasix and blinkers today after showing speed. Finishing 4th, was the favorite that afternoon in its maiden special weight debut at this distance. So Benji, the drop, the Lasix, the blinkers, lots to like for me. So I used the 1 and 3, and then I was enamored with the number 8 in here, Big Drink of Water. 1 of 2 in the race, debuting for trainer Teresa Connolly. The other one being the 4, Mad Luther. Teresa has a 23% win average with her freshman runners. The gelded son of Soldat debuts with a couple of solid 3-furlong workouts showing up at Tampa Bay. So my little bit of a long shot in there.
Well, it's funny because you liked one of her horses and I liked the other one. I used the 4, Mad Luther. And you're right, Teresa Conley, we've seen her a lot at Presque Isle Downs. These horses have been training at Tampa Bay, so not maybe as familiar with her here at Gulfstream, but she does a very good job with where her horses are stabled. And the reason I went with Mad Luther is all 6 of the siblings did win, and there were 2 that won at 2, so some precocity on the bottom side. But we'll see which Teresa horse runs well at a price.
We're back to normal now. I'm liking that. And I'm picking the same horses. We're goofy and not picking the same horses. So let's go to race number 7. And this one is 1 mile on the turf. It's starter optional claimer. Fillies and mares 3-year-olds and up, which started for $16,000 or less, or the optional claiming price of $25,000. And as we mentioned earlier, the late pick 5 starts here, and there's $31,000 in the pool already, and that is a key for this thing to be bet a lot.
Oh, yes, a really good way to start the pick 5 with that $31,000. And as you see, my ticket is nothing like Ron's. So we've been joking about how similar we've been lately, but we do both agree in this first leg that it looks like Pat M's Image has a little bit just of a class edge in who she's been facing lately. Just such a hard-trying, honest mare. I also use the 8 Conquest Dynasty. In race number 8, I went 3 deep. I singled in race 9 with High Blue for trainer Saffie Joseph Jr., getting a little bit of a drop, and I think the controlling speed. And then I went 4 deep in race number 10, where Ron did a single. I actually like a couple prices in there. My top pick is Fergilicious for Yvonne Belsour. So that filly's going to be a bit of a price. And I thought there was a lot of questions in that race. And then just using 2 deep in the last one. So $24 for me.
Okay. We're not that different because we both like the 3 and 8 in this first leg. So we'll give me that at least in that one you mentioned too. The 3, Pat M's Image. And this one now in the Mike Morrison bond. This is the daughter of Leroy Asmanu. Is dropping to the 25 level after facing tougher in 3 races since she won at this level and distance on February 2nd. So you got to sort of scroll down her past performances to see that she's going to run well in this spot.
You do. And I think if you just look at the competition that she faced in her last couple of starts, you had Princess Gibraltar, who was a European-bred horse for Christophe Clement, and then Inside Out making her first start for Denny Gargan. Those 2 horses were incredibly impressive coming down to the wire, and she was running against stakes quality in her last couple of starts here. This mare, again, just watching her throughout the past year or so, she is just so consistent, so hard trying, and maybe just ends up running against tougher competition. So I think she's in a good spot today.
Well, the other horse you used on your ticket along with me with my Rainbow 6 was the 8 Conquest Dynasty, who was solid in defeat when she followed her $16,000 claiming score at this distance. Comes back, runs second at this level last time out. Bobby DeBona, Edgar Zayas atop this really consistent daughter of Court Vision.
Yeah, she is. And last time out, Dark Artist just went wire to wire, so she really never had any chance. And she does come back in just 7 days, but I thought that she ran very well in her last few starts.
Well, there was a scratching. There's 2 scratches, actually, the main track only, but also the number 2, Terry's Big Heart, who I had picked on my ticket there. And then I moved up to number 5, Swapple, who's making her first start since posting back-to-back turf victories at the 16 level during February and March. But you got to respect the connections. Marcus Vitale, Nick Juarez atop this daughter of More Than Ready.
She's been in razor-sharp form lately, winning those last 2, so this is the logical next step.
Well, let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. About 7 1/2 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claim is 3 and up. And let's see how we did here. You started it off with the number 6 horse in here in Bay Hill. So tell me about Bay Hill.
All right, well, let's show you about Bay Hill. We're going to go to the head-on of the break last time out for this gelding by Scat Daddy. So keep your eye on the number. He was the number 3 that day. It does say number 4, but he was actually the number 3. Takes a right turn, gets knocked around, and then knocked around in the other direction as well. Again, the number 3's in the yellow cap. So he did not have an easy start. Took a couple of strides to kind of get his feet underneath of him. More than anything, I think the drop in class to the 20,000 is going to be key.
Yeah, that's what I like about him today, the son of Scat Daddy, where he merits serious consideration this afternoon. But I did put the number 4, Beach Treasure, on top of my ticket, dropping a notch on the claiming scale after encountering some traffic. Still managed to finish third that afternoon against 25 maidens going a mile. Last time out, the trainer is Steve Town's got Miguel Vasquez in the saddle. And if you want somebody to close in the stretch, start looking for Miguel Vasquez.
Yes, it's so true. He's been riding, and we keep saying it every day, but it's true, riding a great form. And I had been chasing Crown of the Gold for a while. He finally got the win last time, and I thought Beach Treasure ran solidly.
And we both used false acquisition on a ticket. See, it's too small for me to read it that little. You know what I mean? Try not to wear these
from the inside.
You ready?
Yes.
Race 9, 1 mile, claimers, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life or 3-year-olds. You got your single in here with the number 1, Jai Blue.
I think it's High Blue is how you say it.
Hi,
I think
Blue.
so. I think so. Pete Aiello is sitting in the corner, and he's nodding at me, so he says it's high. So we're going to go with Pete Aiello. And I just think slight drop in class to the $25,000 tag. First off the claim last time from Gilberto Zerpa to Safi Joseph Jr. This horse ran very, very well. And I think that he fits at this level and could be the controlling speed.
Yeah, one of my angles here, the only 4-time winner in the field. He's going to break from the rail. He dueled for the lead. He finished a hard 4th third at the 35 level. But I like a horse that's done something that no other horse in the field has done, and that's won 4 times. I used the number 6 horse in second. Inhibition, a 5-year-old son of Streetcar. He's stepping up to face winners after finally notching the elusive maiden victory. He responded to the return of blinkers with that score last time out.
He did, and maybe start number 21 was just the lucky one. And sometimes when horses that are longtime maidens do break their maidens, something kind of clicks and they're able to keep that momentum going. I did go with somebody else in second, and that's the 4, Miago. I think he's going to be a bit of a price. He's dropping in class and picking up a Misael Jaramillo. So that was my angle with him there. He's 1 of 2 in here for Antonio Sano.
Yeah, I closed it out with Big Fridge. How could I leave that one off the ticket? Is stretching out to mile, useful return to action. Closed to be 4th, Rashawn Crique. Luca Banici in the saddle this afternoon.
And Big Fridge is a fun name.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If you're going to name a horse that. Now, here's where we differ totally. I singled, and you had, what, 12 horses you picked in here? 5 furlongs on the turf. Allowance optional claim is state bred fillies and mares. I'm going to let you start with the number 7, who I do not have anywhere on my ticket.
Well, this is my long shot today, so we agreed on long shots yesterday, so at least we're a little bit different today. But Fergalicious, not only did she try the turf for the first time last time out in tough allowance company against stakes quality horses like Uncle B, Class and Cash, and Conquest Sandman, but she ran against the boys. So you're obviously seeing where I'm going with that. She was well beaten. I think that she actually showed a little bit of early zip on the turf. Looking at her last time out, she was well turned out, so the drop, turning back in distance, or second turf start, I'm going to give her a try in here.
I got to go back and look at this one. I did single the number 6, Mo Beautiful, a daughter of Uncle Mo, debuting on the turf in the first start since prompting the pace that day and weakening to finish last. But boy, was it a strong key race that won by Next Out Stakes winner. We were very impressed with Star Cloud. And the 3rd place finisher in that race, Virginia Key, ran 3rd in the Grade 2 Gazelle in her next start. So I'm going off that key race, going to the turf. More Beautiful. I thought I'd find a spot where I could single, maybe get a little bit of price. Now, who else did you? Oh, you used the 6. At least you used the 6.
Oh, I did. I did for sure. Well, even her debut race was a key race, too. We saw several next out winners coming out. So she's run against good company. We'll see how she takes to the grass today. I used the number 2, Touch of Quality, who's just second off the layoff. She's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, a wide open race.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I'm singling there, but mine's a template of what you might not want to do in that particular race. But Mo Beautiful, don't forget, tomorrow I'll be bragging if that one does win. So let's go to the final race on the Friday card. The race 11, 1 mile on the turf. Maiden claim is Fillies and Mares Tree and Up. And we are sort of in agreement here. We got our exacta flip-flop, so you could start it off with Momenta Cat.
Well, my thinking with this filly is that she could be the main speed in here. I kept looking through and saying, who's going to be the speed horse? Untruthful Sonnet's just 0 for 13. She's had quite a few chances, even though I do think that she has ability and she's taking a drop. With Momenta Cat, she's going back to the turf, and her last turf start was against $20,000 maiden, so a bit of a drop as far as her turf form, and hopefully she uses the speed that she showed last time.
Yeah, I mean, she's had some success with turf horses that are better. She's had 7 starts with those 4/3, but it gets better than she's going to face in here. But Untruthful Sonnet, the number 1, is dropping to the 12-5 level, hit the board in 4 consecutive races. That was 3 on the turf, 1 on the dirt against tougher competition. Armando de la Cerda, Nick Juarez, daughter of Broken Vow, but you can see there's a reason that this horse is still a maiden.
Yes.
Finds ways to get in trouble in here. So that was our flip-flop exact, and we both used the 4 Michelle's Laugh in third.
And she's another one that's had a lot of chances, but key race, 2 next out winners.
2 next out winners, Marcus Vitale, Luis Reyes in the saddle this afternoon. So good luck with your selections. We're going to be battling all afternoon because we're not in agreement. I like when that happens, and we'll be back. But before we go downstairs to start looking at the races, we're going to turn it over to our buddy Pete Aiello.